Good afternoon. My name is Montre Freeman. I'm city manager for the city of Elizabeth City. Unfortunately, we had an unfortunate chain of events that took place in the wee hours of the morning, and we want to update you on those things. There were 2 deaths as a result of those events. And so the first thing I would like to say is on behalf of our Mayor, Mary Kirk Rivers, our Mayor Pro Tem, Kim Spence, and City Council in Elizabeth City, and all the employees, we send our most heartfelt thoughts and prayers to the families of those who lost loved ones in the wake of this very unfortunate chain of events. I will now bring to you our police chief, Chief Phil Webster.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. And thank you to all who are present, our press, our elected officials. And to our elected officials, a few have reached out to me last night, and I really appreciate your thoughts and prayers. On behalf of Elizabeth City Police Department, we express our deepest sympathies to the family and friends of Brian White and Corey Rebel. 3 families tragically affected and forever changed: the family of Corey Rebel, the family of Brian White, and the family of our officer and his extended ECPD family. We pray for those involved and their families. I'm just going to cover the press release that was sent out last night. So on Saturday, April 20th, 2024, at approximately 1:57 a.m., an officer, Elizabeth City Police Department, was out on foot patrol on the 200 block of North Poindexter Street. The officer heard several gunshots. Based on the investigation, Brian Christopher White, 33-year-old black male of the 800 block of Sandy Cross Road, Belvedere, North Carolina, was alleged to have been shot by Corey Christopher Rebel, 39-year-old black male from the 300 block of Davis Avenue, Elizabeth City. Shortly after the shots were fired, the officer approached Brian White and demanded him to drop his weapon. Brian White did not comply with the officer's commands and was subsequently shot by the officer. Additional officers arrived on scene and located Corey Rebel and Brian White, both suffering from gunshot wounds. Officers conducted life-saving measures on Mr. White and Mr. Rebel until EMS arrived. EMS transported both subjects to Centera Albemarle Medical Center, where they later succumbed to their injuries. Now, currently there are 3 investigations running. We have the ECPD investigation into a homicide. We have the State Bureau of Investigation investigating the officer-involved shooting. And ECPD is conducting our own internal affairs investigation. These are the facts as I know them right now. An officer arrived on scene to conduct a foot patrol. A homicide was committed in his presence, and the officer attempted to stop the suspect in that homicide, who was armed and did not heed his commands, and subsequently he was shot and killed. That concludes my remarks. We'll go ahead and go into any questions that y'all might have.
Is the officer in the incident on leave?
He's on administrative, he's been placed on administrative duty.
Do you know how many shots were fired by either the people or the officer?
That's still under investigation.
I know you mentioned 3 different investigations. Do you know what led up to the initial shooting?
No, we do not at this time. Yes, sir.
Can you tell us anything about the officer, race, age, new to the force, veteran?
Sure. We are going to release his name, but just not today. He is a 14-year veteran of the department. He is black male. And his age, I don't have that information at hand.
Is it known if the gun was pointed at the officer at all? Do we know anything about that part of the situation? Or if the gun was just held by?
That's still under investigation.
Did the officer have a body camera that was running at the time?
Yes, he did.
Will you be able to release the footage eventually?
We're going to work with SBI and the district attorney's office to release the body-worn camera video as soon as we can. It's our desire to be as transparent with the public and with y'all as possible.
Chief, it sounds like the officer actually witnessed Mr. Revelle being shot.
He was in close proximity.
Can you tell me where it was exactly? I mean, like in vicinity of, like, I'm hearing coasters and the bar next door, inside, outside?
Yeah, it's, if you're familiar with the open parking lot, just, I guess that would be west, I'm getting my direction mixed up, west of the parking garage. There's that open parking lot, so sort of in that entrance area, and then a little further down the street in front of the parking garage.
Okay. Thank you.
Can you tell us why the officer was in the vicinity to begin with?
So we have a couple of bars located in that area, and normally about that time of night on the weekends, officers would get out and conduct foot patrol, just to mitigate any incidents such as what occurred.
Chief, do you know if Mr. Ravel was related to Devin Ravel, who was killed back in 2018?
I do not have that information.
Just to your knowledge, how many officer-involved shootings have there been in the last, few years?
Let me refer to Sergeant Graham, he's over our detective division. He's been here a lot longer than I have.
We haven't had it in it since I've been here. I've been 19 years.
19 years, no officer-involved shootings.
For Elizabeth City Police Department.
Yep.
And just homicides this year?
I don't have that count. I'll defer to the sergeant.
Other than today is, we had one prior to this incident.
For this year?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And is the area where this happened, is it all prone to crime or anything of that matter?
I wouldn't say prone to crime. I mean, it's just typical bar area, kind of that night scene, people coming out onto the street after, bars start closing, that type of thing.
Chief, you know tomorrow will be 3 years since the death of Andrew Brown.
Yes, sir.
Can you comment at all about the differences or significance between these last night's event and the Andrew Brown?
I really don't want to get into that right now. I appreciate the question, though.
Yes, sir.
Was life-saving measures done by the officer after the initial shooting?
Yes, sir.
How quickly were the other officers on scene?
I don't have a time on that. It was pretty quick after the initial call for aid by the officer went out, when units started arriving, but I don't have a time on that.
And can you comment to maybe the mental state of this officer and or the rest of the officers that responded? I know some of these situations are pretty difficult.
And I appreciate that question, because an officer-involved shooting has, it leaves a scar on a department. It's tough to deal with. But one thing we're going to be reaching out to is the state, North Carolina Law Enforcement Assistance Program, to come in and do a department-wide debrief, especially for the officers who were there on the scene. And of course, we're going to extend that out to all of our partner agencies too, which I failed to mention. We do want to thank Pasquotank County Sheriff's Office, Elizabeth City State University Campus Police, Camden Pasquotank County EMS, Elizabeth City Fire Department, and Pasquotank County Central Communications, and the Camden County Sheriff's Office for all their assistance that they gave us last night. So I say that because during that debriefing, we will invite all these agencies to participate.
You mentioned, you said there were 3 ongoing investigations. Can you once again just rename those departments who are investigating and what they're looking for?
Sure. So our police department, Elizabeth City Police Department, will be investigating the homicide that occurred. And then we'll defer, obviously, to the SBI to investigate the officer-involved shooting. And then Elizabeth City Police Department will run its own internal affairs investigation. And that investigation deals with policy violations, potential policy violations, if any.
You said SBI, what does that stand for?
State Bureau of Investigation.
SBI, okay, thank you.
Do you know, can you say or comment why White allegedly shot, or what led to the incident, the shooting, why he allegedly shot Ravel?
No, we don't. That's still under investigation. We don't have that nailed down yet as to why.
Can you speak to just overall crime? How is the crime rate doing? How is safety doing in Elizabeth City overall?
It's always a perception. I feel like especially our shots fired calls. I feel like they've gone down somewhat over the past few months due to a lot of efforts we've made. We have a partnership with the federal government right now, trying to target our most prolific offenders in our community and to take them federally as far as the prosecution, and that's helped. And we've taken a number of our most prolific offenders off the street recently. I think we're up to about 14, if I remember at last count, who are involved with crimes involving weapons. And the amount of weapons we've taken off the street is somewhere around 25. Yeah, 27? Okay. Approximately 27 weapons we've taken off the street. That's all since the first of the year. So I feel like all those efforts have really calmed things down in the city. But, you know, as you can see right here, you know, it's not a cure-all for everything.
Chief, to that, I'd just like to ask you, do you have an update, how's progress coming on the shots fired technology that y'all, the grants?
So we received a grant, or I'm trying to think what it's called, what the word is called. I'm looking for, but anyway, it was some monies from the federal government to stand up a violent crime enforcement effort. And what we found now is we have to go back through before that money can be allocated to us, we have to go through a grant process. So it's like, here's the money, it's yours, but now you have to go through this grant process to actually be awarded the funds. So that's kind of where we are. We're getting quotes, fresh quotes and things, because as you know, when you apply for a grant or for monies, an allocation like that, you get these quotes, and by the time it happens, those quotes are stale. You have to go back and get new quotes. So
it's a while before the...
Right, so it's going to be a little bit, but we're heading that way. Any more questions, anyone? Mr. Freeman, did you want to have any more words?
So a couple of things to kind of piggyback on the last things that the chief spoke about. We were very, very fortunate and very grateful to Congressman Don Davis's office for giving us that money. As you see, we need that money and some more. And so we thank him tremendously for those funds. And the process, Mr. Day, that you're talking about, unfortunately, the government money is just a slow process. And so we want to make sure that we do right by it so we can get more of it and we can record it, you know, the way that we should. The last thing I want to say, I want to thank you all so much for being here and helping us tell the narrative. It is always my objective to be as fair and transparent as we can possibly be. I applaud our police department for taking that mantle up and standing tall and doing that very same thing today. I purposely did not say this when I spoke the first time because I wanted to stand out. I will also ask that you keep our police department lifted in your thoughts and prayers. I'm a retired military police. Unfortunately for me, I've never been in this type of officer-involved shooting. But as the chief said, the scar is forever. And so we're going to continue to do what we need to do to keep our city safe and take care of our officers and take care of the city. If no other further questions, thank you all so much. Take care. God bless you.